Ladies and gentlemen, the world's #1 sports and recreation podcast, Cheap Heat. It's spooky season, October 30th. Wednesday, October 30th. Tomorrow's Halloween, guys. Happy Halloween Havoc season, everyone. In Los Angeles, we have 37 to 37 Dipperstein. Do you want to start the show? Because according to your obsessive fan sign maker, he put you big in the center, and I was off to the side of the podcast.
I tried to tell Peter it was an order of mageness and that he was first, then you, then me. But he's not having it clearly.
Because,
I was
because
elevated.
he had Dip elevated. It wasn't just that we were all lined up.
There
was a Dip, now then forever, together or whatever sign.
Yeah, dude, does this guy know this is the only show in my life where I get to be the elevated one? You can't do this to me. It's my only...
It was.
All right, joining us in Philadelphia, where there is a mayor, and he lives in the proper city boundaries, it's Statguy Greg. I like this look for Statguy. I like this fall. If you're not wearing Timberlands with this outfit, SGG, I'm disappointed.
I mean, of course.
Big fall energy from SGG today.
Yeah, man.
Yankee fitted.
It's not your beautiful Yankee jacket that you had on yesterday, but it'll do.
Well, you're welcome, Yankee fans. You're welcome. I put on the jacket and they won.
Right now.
I wore it this morning already. I wore it this morning. I interviewed 50 Cent about an hour ago. I wore the jacket the entire time. I put 50 Cent on the phone with my wife because they're both from Queens. Natalie, how was that experience? Were you excited to talk to 50?
We love 50.
She loves 50. I just picked up the phone. By the way, you know what I said to him? He clearly doesn't want to talk politics. That is very, very clear. But I said to him before closing, before we go, I just want to say something. SGG, you're really going to appreciate this. I said, I feel a way about people using the song Many Men if they were grazed in the ear by a bullet. Because you were shot 9 times in the chest. So let's just all, Many Men Wish Death Upon Me has a different meaning when everyone in the world knows how many bullets you took.
Yeah.
It's different.
Potentially grazed by a bullet.
Anyways, welcome aboard, guys. As we are talking about a chamber of horrors, which is this nation, it's a perfect time to do so. It's Halloween this week. We are recording a Halloween watch-along tonight. You guys will get that tomorrow. So for Halloween, you'll have the Halloween Havoc watch-along for all of our peoples out there. Just Dip and I had a very hectic week with him in town. We had to go to SmackDown. All right. Dip, how was your eating?
SmackDown too, right?
Which we did not know about until night of. And Dip, first of all, how was your food at Barclays Center? Because we know you like analyzing the food that they serve at the arenas. So take us through your thoughts.
I was very happy to see a chicken parmesan situation going on. This is all new. I haven't seen that Italian place before. And I got to tell you, the lines weren't too crazy. It was a very civilized event. The WWE universe seems to be becoming more family oriented, which is nice in the crowd. And it was kind of a beautiful thing. I also don't think that $15 for the chicken parmesan sandwich was so crazy. Did you? It came out hot. There was very friendly staff.
I'll say this. Barclays staff's really friendly. They're super nice. I'll say this. $15 for like a big enough chicken parm that it was sliced in half and me and Dip each had one half. That's for an arena. That's solid. Like you wouldn't have been surprised if they'd said a chicken parm sandwich of that size was $22.
No,
you would have believed it.
I would have paid $32.
You're expecting anything at that point. That's the problem. That's how they get you.
Yeah.
They get you on the drinks, though. The food is reasonably priced. I'm noticing that these arenas, but the drinks is where they hammer you.
The drinks are crazy.
Actually, that's not true. We had 2 drinks.
No, I think there were 16. I think I got a double. I think it was 16.
I paid $41 and a tip plus tip for that drink. Those drinks, 2 drinks. $41.
Oh, you got drinks and I got. Wait, no.
Mm-hmm.
You bought the. Oh yeah, you bought the drinks.
I bought the drinks.
So they were. You bought the drinks. So I paid for the food. Okay, so yeah, maybe I'm wrong then. So they were like $20 each, full 20 each.
No, yeah.
Plus tip.
By the way, it's so crazy. It's one high noon, one, which is like $4.
Dude,
So-
I know he got one high noon, but that's why I'm always getting a double. If I go to the bar at a place, especially if the double's not literally just double the price, because sometimes they'll do a single 16. How much is a double? 32.
32.
It's like, no, dude.
Yep.
The whole point of you offer me the double is 16 for one shot, 26 for two. Like, that's supposed to be the way this give and take works.
There's supposed to be a
that's why-
built-in deal. It's like, you know what I mean? Like,
That's
it can't
at
be
least
2 for
somewhat.
$5 if the regular price is.
Yeah.
$2.50.
Yes, I'm aware I could buy 2 drinks from you. Sure. But here's why I still do that, SGG. Because if you get a nice bartender, you might get a really good serving. There's no version of the high noon where you're getting more high noon for your buck.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So, like, when I went to the Mets game a couple of weeks ago, I got it. Natalie just gave my internet dip. You know what sign Natalie just gave me? Natalie just gave me my international physical sign for something cheap. That's not appropriate for this broadcast. But it's something very self-deprecating. You liked it. You learned it from me, Dip.
I don't even want to guess.
You've seen it.
I've seen it.
SGG?
I don't know if I have.
You haven't seen it?
I don't think so.
I'll-
I don't want
I'll
to see it
send it
right
to you
now.
later. All right,
wanna
no,
see it
I'm
right
not going to show it to you. It's dirty. I can't show it to you. It's like dirty Dominic Mysterio. But when I went to Citi Field for the Mets game, the bartender right away, she gave me the like, hey, we're super friendly. When you want a drink, just come right over here. She was doing the thing of like, I'll be your person. And then you see her pour the shots and she's being very liberal. Like, just, I'm letting you know that a shot from me, this is better than a high noon. This isn't, I'm giving you something good here.
Now,
You
let me
can
ask you
have
this.
that luck.
Do you think that was the Rosenberg treatment, or that
No.
was she's so good at what she does that everybody feels like
It was a Rosenberg treatment. I do not believe she knew who I was.
It might have been dip treatment.
Go ahead, Dip.
I was the one that did the bits at the
No.
concessions.
It
I did
wasn't.
bits. I was the one that did
You
the
weren't
bits.
there. Dip, I know your bits are world renowned, but I said it when I was at Citi Field for a Mets game. You think your bits they go that far? It extends to when I go to other baseball games?
I am sure that my bits are susceptible. I'm sure that my bits at Citi Field would go a long way. I'm just saying.
This is why Dip cannot be center of the poster and elevated. Do you see what you started?
No, it's too much. It's too. And by the way, Dip's bits with waiters and servers, it when it hits, it's really it's a nice, fun experience. The person enjoys. They have a laugh. I think the person at Barclays Center had a nice laugh, and it's nice. Let me tell you something. The 15% of the time it doesn't hit, it's a horrible experience. No, listen, he'd agree, I'm sure. You hit it 85%.
Yes.
But when the the woman at Cinderella loved his bit. The checkout lady at Cinderella, when he started goofing around, what's going on with New York? I said, we don't need a bag. I'm going to walk around I'll take the crab dip. I don't need a bag. Dip goes, can you see this? This guy's walking around with crab dip in his pocket. What's happening to New York? Oh my God, this city's in shambles. She thought it was funny and she laughed. But with the 15%, when they just stare at him and they're like, what the hell is this guy talking about? I then feel like I have to extra laugh for the bit. I have to kind of get us out of it.
Yeah.
He's wacky. That's wacky Dipperstein.
You help exit the bit. And by the way, Howie does the same thing. He helps me exit the bit if it's not working.
Yeah. If it's not working, he needs help out of the bit.
That's a real friend who helps you out of the failing bit. That is really how I define my closest people in my life. If you're able to get me out of the failing bit, you are one of my closest people in my life.
Oh no, I would dig the hole.
Someone is yeah, you'd stare back at him and go, "Wait, sorry, what? I don't really understand what you're saying. What, crab dip?"
I would dig the hole. Yeah,
I respect that very much. Hold on, I want to make a phone call real quick. It is Halloween, after all. For God's sake, let's see. I don't know if this person will pick up. I told them I might call. We'll see if they answer.
This better be Joe Tessitore.
That would be a big one. Can you imagine the hello that he gives?
I would love to hear. I would love it to be him. I love that voice. I'm now in love with that voice.
Lin-Manuel Miranda.
That's awesome.
If you guys haven't seen it, Lin-Manuel Miranda dressed up fully as Dominic Mysterio, including tattoos.
Yeah,
It's beautiful.
the tattoos was a nice touch.
It's beautiful.
The
I'm in love
tattoos
with
were
it.
a
Now I
good
want to ask
touch.
you guys. I want to ask you guys a question. When Dominic met Lynn, because they did a photo shoot together at SmackDown last week. Do you think Dominic Mysterio knew who Lin-Manuel Miranda was?
Yeah, I think Dom's a big fan of Moana, so you know.
I would hope so and assume so. Yes.
Don't say hope so. Don't pass judgment. I mean, he's a 27-year-old pro wrestler, right? He was a kid when In the Heights came out. When Hamilton was at its biggest, Dominic Mysterio was the like 17-year-old Gucci wearing high school running son of Rey Mysterio. You know, we don't know what
Dominic
the hell he was going through.
definitely cutting class. Dominic was not in history class.
I by the way, I want to know, and I've never asked him this. I want to know what Dominic's high school life was like.
He was
I'll
probably
try
the,
Dominic
he was
now, right?
probably the
If we-
man.
Yeah,
If you can't hold on, if we can't get Lin-Manuel Miranda, let's get the real Dominic Mysterio. It's 9 a.m. where he is, I think.
he is not awake.
You don't think so?
No.
God, am I going to get no answered by Lynn and Dominic Mysterio back to back? This podcast has fallen off. There was a time.
You think you know people?
Jesus, this is so sad.
The person you're trying to reach is not available.
Now, at some point during the show, we'll have to think of a third phone call so I can try to break this streak or have a trifecta of no answers. Maybe we'll go to a little bit of election. How about, should we do pre-election insight with
No.
John Bradshaw Layfield?
No,
See what he's thinking? What do you mean? Why not, Dip?
That would be hilarious.
I don't want that. I don't want to do that.
What do you mean? He would just give insight on what he thinks is going to happen. I'm not saying I want to get into let's discuss the issues. He's a very wise man, that JBL. You know what they say? Follow the money. And he knows the money. I did shoot
You
a
want
thing
him to
with
predict? He can predict our match that we set up on the Patreon. He can tell us who he think.
what? But by the way,
He thinks
you
we'll go
called
over.
you called them the Big Red Machines on Patreon
The Big Red Machines.
versus the Blutista team.
Yeah, I didn't
Blutista.
have I just Team Blutista. Yeah.
Was it too obvious, by the way, for you to go with the team we're talking about being Hogan, Taker, Kane, and Jericho?
And Jericho.
Was it too obvious for us to go with Magamaniacs?
I didn't think of that.
Think about it. It was staring you right in the face. It was
Yeah,
staring
it's
you right
literally
in
right
the
there.
face.
It's
Yeah, there was really a Megamaniac. Anyway, so Dip, what did you think of the 2-show SmackDown? What did you think of the double show?
without spoiling the second
It
show.
gave me more wrestling.
Without spoiling the second show.
So I was able to watch more wrestling than I had previously been able to watch live. So to me, it was mage. Very enjoyable. I love the non-linear what the hell is going on show. I wish more shows were like that. What the hell is going on now?
By the way, you kept saying non-linear. It was linear. You by the way, SGG, to this moment, he still has not figured out what we saw.
I don't know what we saw.
From
We saw a lot of wrestling.
From 7 to 9, it was Friday's SmackDown.
Right.
From 9 to 11, it was this week's SmackDown.
Right.
Oh.
What
Now, what
makes
made-
it non-linear though? I'll give Dip,
Is
I'll
watching
throw
Raw
Dip
on
the ball.
Monday.
Exactly, because Jimmy comes out and he's like, "You know what you got to do," blah blah blah, and I'm just like, SmackDown's
You've already-
taped, so they've completely not necessarily no selling it, but I mean, he's acting as if what happens this coming Friday will be live, and it's taped.
So
Which,
that's
To
interesting.
this point,
So to Dip's point, that's where it gets interesting because when they did Friday's show, Dip, they did it all in order, so it still all made sense. It was just happening the same night. The real acting is involved when you get to Monday and you do a live Raw and now have to go backwards in time.
yeah, it's very Back to the Future.
By the way,
what's
Dip's
going to
getting
happen on
very
Friday?
Dip's getting very upset by this conversation. He does not this is such breaking of Dip.
He sat
Everything
there
you
and
saw.
enjoyed it. He sat there and enjoyed it. I don't.
Yeah,
wanna,
but I bet he hasn't watched Monday yet. Have you watched Monday yet?
I watched a good portion of it. Yeah.
Okay, and it was you got through it. I was worried that would upset you, seeing that things that didn't make sense in order could upset you.
I don't like that. I live in kayfabe.
I know it's a tough life.
He lives in kayfabe from the TV screen.
Did you-
If you put him in the seat in the arena, Dip's in. He doesn't care.
All right, so let's
Slap
talk about
wrestling.
something that we know definitively that happened at SmackDown. The Motor City Machine Guns.
Yeah,
That did air live at the end of SmackDown, right?
that did. That I gotta say, that is a hell of an introduction to fans who may not be familiar with their work. The match that they had, not this past Friday, but the Friday before that, their debut match, qualifying for the number one contenders match, winning that, and then capturing the titles the same night. I think they did everything to win over the WWE fans who weren't familiar with their work.
Accurate.
I loved what they did. To me, two things. The Bloodline having the titles, whatever. It means nothing. They are the Bloodline. It's now they've been champions, so it adds a little bit to their ledger, but they don't need to be walking around with the titles. We don't need to go to Survivor Series with the Bloodline having a title. If you're going to bring in this, I don't want to say journeyman tag team because that has a slight negative connotation, but these veterans who have been for so long dreaming of getting there, I love just slapping the titles right on them and adding it to their story. It was a meaningful moment. Guys, had we really been thinking about the tag titles in a real way? They have these number one contendership matches. The Street Profits get a title shot. This one gets a title shot. We don't put much thought into it. Dip, I think this makes the titles relevant.
I think it's a really good point. And how many times have I said over and over again when they bring in these new wrestlers from elsewhere, or even when they call them up just from NXT, and they sort of put them in a position where, where I thought Motor City Machine Guns were going to be, which was just in a 6-man tag match, or a 3-way tag team match where they won and they get a few pops, and then eventually they build up to a match at a pay-per-view, and then it's like by the time you see that, you just see them as mid-carders. Now what they've done is immediately push them to the top of the card as the champions, and they seem mage. Why invest in a tag team after all these years of bringing them in and whatever if you're not going to just shoot them to the moon? And I think it was really smart. I think involving them with the Bloodline was really entertaining. The Bloodline does not need the tag team titles. They are mage and at the top of the card no matter what. And I love the idea of putting these guys on the moon immediately.
So let me ask you this, because there was, I guess, there is internet speculation that this was supposed to be the Lucha Brothers, because there was talk of them leaving AEW and then coming to WWE, and that got squashed. Do you guys think that it has the same impact if it was the Lucha Brothers, or did the stars align for this to have like the maximum impact, maximum potential for the future of the tag division in WWE with MCMG?
I don't know about the future. Maybe in a long term, Lucha Brothers would be a better play. But in terms of this story of like, look at these veterans who are now here, I think Motor City Machine Guns hits harder than Lucha Bros. For me. To me, Motor City Machine Guns are they're like the definition of indie/TNA tag teams. Like, beside them and the Briscoes, like those are like, you think of the tag teams who were around forever, and of course previously the Young Bucks, right? But never were in WWE. Those are those names. So to me, that hits more. Just as someone who I used to, I did a TNA podcast. I used to watch TNA pretty avidly. So it means more for me seeing those guys in this spot than it would to see the Lucha Brothers. Even though Dip, we know how he feels about the Lucha Brothers.
No, I'm a huge fan of them. Massive.
Yeah. Dip has him on his Mount Rush of tag teams.
No, but I
Powers of Pain, Demolition, and Powers of Pain a second time.
I think that Rey Fenix Ray Phoenix, one of the best wrestlers in the world. No question.
He's an awesome wrestler. Dip, is that, I know you were asked recently, I forget, was that what your Mount Rushmore was? Powers of Pain, Lucha Brothers, Demolition, Powers of Pain?
You have to replace
that was it.
It's Powers of Pain, Demolition, Powers of Pain.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the Lucha Brothers have no business being there, for God's sake.
I mean,
but no, I did think that was a really neat thing. Now remind me then, what was the Bloodline segment that aired last Friday?
Well, Jimmy and Jay hugged, and then
Jimmy and Jay hugged. Okay, after they came and after they cost the Bloodline the titles.
Yeah.
Jimmy and Jay had their moment. So Jay got his revenge on the Bloodline for costing him the IC title, cost them the tag titles, and then the brothers, Jimmy and Jay, had their moment.
And at the top of the ramp, we closed with a shot that, I mean, I didn't really want to see it. We got sad Roman at the top of the ramp watching Jimmy and Jay hug and reunite. And so, I didn't want to see my tribal chief like that. Yeah.
No. Did it watching your tribal chief kick rocks as he walks off the set was not what you were looking for?
It's very upsetting to me. I don't know how you guys felt about it.
No, I've been upset all week. That's not the way I want to see my tribal chief.
Yeah, same.
Although, just to be clear, I honor both tribal chiefs. So when Solo came out,
you can't have dual citizenship to the tribal chiefs. You gotta pick one.
No, I respect both. I respect both the Ulafala holder, and I respect the great history of Roman Reigns as the head of the table. But you calling it honor both.
Calling it history implies that it's over and that we're gonna just be moving past that now because it's just history.
No, once he rightfully reclaims the Ulafala and becomes the tribal chief again officially, then I will move forward and only put my ones up when he comes out. But as of right now,
your ones go up when Solo comes out?
Absolutely. He's got the No, SUG. He has the Ulafala.
He stole the Ulafala. That's P.
By the way, the people next to me like, no, put your hands down. I had to have this conversation with them. I was like, no, I respect both tribal chiefs. I'm the worst kind of person. I root for the Yankees and the Mets. Roman, Solo, I can't choose. I like them both so much. They're both so great in different ways.
Solo is great though, by the way. While we're on this topic, not to cut you off, Dip, but
he deserves some love.
Solo does deserve some love. And I tweeted this is like, listen, Solo is not my tribal chief, but he is a top guy. The way he set up that match between the Bloodline and the Motor City Machine Guns, when he's just very comfortable on the mic, he brings a comedic flair to everything that he does that really, I think it's enhancing his character because I don't think that as the tribal chief, he's supposed to be this menace that Roman Reigns was. He's like a guy trying to fill this role that he's not ready for. Even on Monday when he sits down in the audience, he's like, I bought tickets. It came off so probably unintentionally hilarious, but it was hilarious.
He deserves a lot of credit. Do you guys remember the first interview with Solo Sikoa?
Yeah.
Do you remember how quiet he was on GP?
I do.
He was like sitting there like,
I gotta tell you, he's really.
That was his first interview too, by the way. It wasn't just first interview with him on the show. It was his first interview with any media.
Yeah.
He's come into his own for sure on television. There's still work to do there.
Oh, yeah.
But
he's gotten pretty like Dip. You're the most critical of promo guys in the biz today.
Yeah,
and you agree he's come a long. Like, of course, is there more room? Sure, but he's very competent.
He really is, and he's confident and is he competent or confident?
I said competent, but he's both.
And the only thing I would change at all is the gloves. I know that sounds crazy. I don't like the gloves.
Would you make them fingerless?
And I don't,
or just no gloves.
I don't like the glove. and I don't.
I'm serious.
I don't like them. I don't know. And maybe finger. I don't know. I don't like the way they look. And I also wouldn't do the black on black on black. I would do like very nice fitted suits that fit him a little bit better with like a white shirt with a black suit and pants that are like, fitted nicely. So he would look like more of an authority figure, because right now, if you wear schlumpy clothes, it's very hard to feel like you're at the head of the table. The head of the table should be wearing beautiful clothes and very
Wouldn't that take away
and
from his character?
what?
Wouldn't that take away from his character rather than
No.
enhance it? Like if he looks the part, like we should be taking him seriously, then doesn't that take away from the fact that we should not be taking him seriously? Like he's clearly a puppet.
I mean, that's a good point. But I don't think that they're intentionally putting him in sort of oversized suits to make him feel less legitimate. I think why not, really like tighten up the wardrobe a little bit and make it look like authoritative and sort of, more, have better aesthetics than what it is currently. That's all. And I don't love the gloves. Other than that, let me tell you something. The guy is Mage. I'm happy he's there. I'm excited that he has really taken the time to hone his skills on the mic, and it's made all the difference. It's made all the difference on television, like just the whole product in general. Because when he was like shy and it wasn't all there, it was, we were very unsure about what was going to be with him. But he does feel like a legitimate main eventer now. So God bless. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, sure.
I agree wholeheartedly. Sorry, I was just getting irate at an article that I felt like clicking on. Bad idea. It was the New York Post.
Did it say that I respect 2 tribal chiefs and I will put my one up for Solo and my ones don't even go up for Roman Reigns anymore because he's not technically the tribal chief? Is that what the article said? Because that would make me irate.
My ones do go up for Roman. Of course they do.
So you put ones up. So if Roman and Solo is in the ring, you just have your ones up and nobody's supposed to know who's.
By the way, I have to have both hands up.
You can't put the same one up for both of them.
Both ones up.
This is the most upsetting thing you've ever seen.
I know. There's a lot. You're dealing with a lot right now. We have a lot going on in our country, and then I heaped more onto your plate. And if something's going to be heaped onto your plate, you prefer it be delicious chicken.
That's right. Preferably not from Raising Cane's, but
Yeah, unbelievable the shots you take. By the way, Raising Cane's. So I've heard nothing but good things. Dip, have you had the Raising Cane's?
Yeah, I have had it once. I'm a fan.
Yeah, exactly.
You liked it
at gunpoint, apparently.
You know who loves Raising Cane's? Sam Roberts.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, Dip, you had a big appearance with Sam Roberts. When does that come out? Is it out?
It could be today. I think I got to tell you, I think
you're gonna professional broadcaster.
I think you're gonna love it.
No, I can't do it.
I think you're gonna love this episode. It is really nostalgic. It's a lot of fun, and I think it's quite Mage. And you're gonna be really you're gonna be entertained by.
It's gonna be you. Isn't it gonna be you saying all things I've heard you say in our own life?
Yeah.
By the way, you guys, you want to know a fact, SGG? No one is looking forward to listening to this episode featuring Brian Dipperstein more than Brian Dipperstein. He probably, if I were to guess, SGG, he may have subscribed to Sam's podcast just for the occasion to catch himself.
You're so mean.
Wait. You don't want to miss it.
And you're gonna do you think that when you listen to yourself talking and you're driving around Los Angeles in your luxurious automobile with your own voice being blasted at the top of your lungs, do you think you like accidentally do that thing where we have a tendency to like lip sync our own voice?
Oh,
people walk by and you're like,
oh, he does that 100%. He's like, oh, this part's dope. You're gonna want to hear this part and turn it up.
Yo, Dip has people in his car for riding. Everyone, this is the best part. Hold on. Talk about the powers of pain. Turns it up loud.
I think we did talk about the powers of pain.
Oh, you think? Let me ask you a question. SGG, what are the Vegas odds right now that during this episode, Dip mentioned the wrestling theme of his bar mitzvah?
Confirmed. Mentioned it.
Now over under how many?
What is the chance? What are the odds that Dip mentioned his mother taking him to wrestling shows and getting a beer poured on her at an ECW show?
I did not mention that, but we did talk about ECW.
Oh,
That would have been
you did. Okay.
that would have been
mention the beer?
topical.
No,
They're going to 2300. They're going to
no, but
2300 next
we
week.
did all the greatest hits. We did, all the other stuff.
We love the hits. We play the hits like Ave Maria.
Scott Hall. You met Scott Hall and
YMCA.
all those guys.
Yeah, did you get? What about that?
We
didn't get
The
there.
sweet meeting.
We didn't get there.
No.
No.
What about your mother having an elongated affair with Ken Shamrock?
We did hit that. We hit that.
They hit that? That's a big one.
That's
By
what
the,
Ken Shamrock
by the way,
said.
it was Dan Severn.
Oh wow! Can you imagine? Can you imagine how? Now here's my question: If 11-year-old Dipperstein had walked in his house and seen Dan Severn wearing your dad's robe, smoking a heater, and your dad's at work, and your mom comes out and goes, "Brian, don't say anything to your father about Dan Severn being here." Would you have been horrified or thrilled?
Was that your Karen Hill impression in Goodfellas?
What did I say? Your father.
Yeah.
Would you have been horrified or
Janice
thrilled?
Rossi, get down here.
Janice Rossi's. There's a whore in this building. Would you have been happy or sad though? Honestly, your mom has an affair with one of your favorite wrestlers. Let's assume better than Dan Severn, because that you wouldn't have been excited enough.
Yeah, I was
Owen
going to say
Hart.
Dan Severn is very
Owen
sad.
Hart? I never was a big Owen guy.
You didn't love Owen Hart?
I liked him. I didn't love him.
Okay.
Razor Ramon. Razor Ramon.
Razor Ramon.
I would have been very torn. I would have said, "Come play Super Nintendo with me immediately. I'll play against you. I'll be Mr. Perfect. You be yourself. We'll have a great time."
So, like, who's the guy that if you saw him having an affair with your mom, you go pack your dad's stuff and just tell him he doesn't live here anymore when he gets back?
Barbarian.
That is the question.
Got to be Barbarian.
You would have called Dip would have called his dad at work and said, "Hey, Dad, when you get home, you're going to notice that your bags are sitting outside of the front door. That is your luggage. Please take it with you. I have a new father now. His name is
leave the car
Barbarian."
keys, take a cab.
Barbarian is
Actually,
here eating all the rotisserie chicken.
Yeah.
In the house.
By the way, take your car. We're riding around in Barbarian's Jeep Cherokee. We don't need you anymore. What a dream that would be for you. SGG, anything else big from the world of professional wrestling that you want to discuss? Perhaps this week's Monday Night Raw, as we get ready for a crown jewel on this Saturday.
The big news actually comes from outside the ring. WWE, as we know, has the NIL program that caused a bit of an uproar amongst fans because of the assumption that WWE is going to be pivoting away from classically trained wrestlers to college athletes. And then WWE announced this week, on Monday, I believe it was, the WWEID program, which is called WWE Independent Development Program, where they partner with, I believe it's 5 wrestling schools at the moment, potentially more, and they're going to be sending in coaches to train people at these wrestling schools and I guess have first dibs on some of this talent when they're ready to move up the roster, move them over to the PC, potentially NXT, and sort of kickstart the dream for some of these people who are at wrestling schools and may not yet be ready for the Performance Center and moving down to Orlando. And I think it's a cool program. Some of the schools they have listed on available as Booker T's Reality of Wrestling out of Houston, Cody Rhodes' Nightmare Factory out of Atlanta, Seth Rollins' Black and Brave Academy out of Davenport, Iowa, Elite Pro Wrestling Center out of Concord, New Hampshire, and the KnockX Pro Wrestling Academy out of Los Angeles. And I think Rikishi might be associated with the KnockX Pro Academy. So I think this is huge.
It's a very, very cool thing. Super happy for Reality of Wrestling, and all of those guys. Another step. See, this actually gets me more excited probably than just NIL because I'm a wrestling nerd. So like, as much as I love the NIL thing, it's going to lead to great athletes. I get excited when it's like encouraging and promoting further indie wrestling. You were going to say, Dip.
No, just that I'm excited. If you know, that I said I actually said on Sam's podcast that there are people out there that are just completely unknown entities in the world that are going to be the next brass ring grabbers, and hopefully this is a way to dig for gold.
Yeah, and I wonder what this means for because if they're going to be offering mentorship opportunities to some of these people in wrestling schools, I wonder what this means for some of these legends who could potentially go in and be a coach. Like it feels like something that is able to sort of offer opportunities to people, not only at the beginning of their career while they're at wrestling school, but some of these people who might not be on TV anymore, like sort of be at the end of their career to go in and coach and help these people train and work on promos. Or I can see Kevin Nash working with some people as being big men and that move set. And maybe Rey Mysterio does this after he's done and helps people with the high flying stuff, and even like an AJ Styles or somebody like that. So I think this is a good way for WWE to help people, not just at the beginning of their career, but after they're done with their career, to go in as coaches and help people at the end of their career as well.
I might have to show up to one of these places and be a manager finally. You know what? Maybe it's time.
Yeah.
Maybe it's
you
time.
Like Houston, right?
Love Houston.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll show up in Reality of Wrestling. I can get Brad Gilmore.
Yeah, I'll give you the brass knuck. I was gonna say I'll give you the brass knucks if you need to just give Brad Gilmore the.
What? Wait, I can't take out Brad Gilmore. Have you seen how handsome that guy is? I would never look at the hair on
not
Brad
the
Gilmore's
face.
head.
You might have to do him like the Miz and just kidnap him.
No, Brad Gilmore is one of the best looking guys in wrestling. That's a fact. By the way, Dip, I wonder if the other podcast episode has come out this week that's people are talking about, but I don't know. Cody Rhodes has an appearance on a podcast this week.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'm hearing that there's going to be some interesting things to hear on this podcast. Oh, there it is. It appears as if it's up. Oh my God, it's 2 hours and 44 minutes.
Don't tell me he's with Talk Jericho.
Worse? Better? I don't know. He's on Andrew Schultz's podcast.
Oh boy.
He's on
doing
Flagrant.
What?
Apparently, by the looks of scrolling through this video, it looks like talking for nearly 3 hours.
All right.
I got to tell you guys. So I used to, in the early 1-Ep days, do like serious long form where we'd get up to like 90. I cannot believe these podcasts do 2.5, 3 hours, sometimes 3.5 hours.
Sometimes Pritchard's is that long. A lot of the wrestling ones are that long. I got to be honest.
But and by the way, that's almost different. Like those are different, crazy in different ways. Those are just him and Conrad.
Yeah.
But like 3 hours with a guest, I mean, it's such a weird format. Like, don't get me wrong. I do 3-hour radio shows every day. But a 3-hour interview with one subject to me is just like, if you're I just wonder if you're not a wrestling fan and you come upon a podcast that's a wrestler talking for 3 hours, it just seems like a heavy lift for someone who's not into wrestling.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, if you're not a fan, the 3-hour podcast is a heavy lift for like just somebody that wants to dive in on a subject. It's tough, period. Because it's like, why? Who are these people that are asking me for 3 hours of my life?
Anyways, so supposedly what I've been told is that there's an interesting Rosenberg related portion of this podcast. So we'll have to wait. We'll have to wait and find out when.
If you listen to it, let us know because I won't be listening to it. But
you're not going to spend 3 hours there.
No. I'll watch clips.
Let's spend a moment, if we shall. It won't take 3 hours on Crown Jewel, which is emanating from Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, this Saturday. We have 7 matches on the card, which for an international show is long a jace.
Yeah, he gave into some pressure, I guess, because these have been 5-match cards consistently, and the people have been saying we want more out of these PLEs. So he listened.
We have, for starters, Gunther versus Cody. Now, this is interesting, guys. Are we just assuming that this is a Goldberg schmazol?
Yes.
I was assuming KO.
Could be both. But this is a schmaz, obviously. It's an obvious schmaz. It's a way to get. I mean, neither of them are pinning each other clean. That's clearly not happening. And they introduced the Goldberg situation last month as a way to sort of schmazol themselves out of this schmazol. Don't you think?
We love schmazol. Yeah, I think you're right. Then we have Liv Morgan, who is better by the day, let's be honest, versus Nia Jax. For the women WWE, it's the Raw Women's World Champion, of course, versus the SmackDown Women's World Champion for the Crown Jewel Championship, which is even bigger. Let's be honest. Both of these matches for the Crown Jewel titles, even bigger than your regular title. I'm gonna say that this will be an example of Raquel doing what Raquel does, and leading to Liv getting a win over Nia Jax. Thoughts?
I agree.
I agree. Nope. I have no opposing.
I liked Raquel's look this week walking with Liv. I don't know. She had. I appreciated your sentiment from a couple weeks ago, SUG, about less talky, more look toughy. Were you there for that, Dip? I don't think you were there for that.
I don't think he was. No.
SGG basically made the point, and he actually was saying no disrespect and meant no disrespect.
I did. I truly did.
It's a rare example where he meant it. That he just thought Raquel's character was talking too much. And I thought it was a really good point. Like, I know that she's talked before and she has her own character, but once someone is showing up as like a really loud character's muscle, you can't also have a lot to say. Like, I think she should be there to be the intimidator. That's the role to me.
I thought that's what it was, honestly.
Yeah, this just the promos started coming out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're having her cut promos in Spanish, and we'll get back to who her character is once we establish that she's a badass killer.
She's just the heater right now.
The heater.
I thought she was, but I don't know. That's what I thought.
We all know you fast forward. You fast forward through things. Though. We know, Dip. We lose you sometimes.
No.
You look at your phone. You get a phone call.
I love
the
it.
office calls.
I love it. I think it's great.
I will say this though about Crown Jewel and these Crown Jewel Championship matches. I wish I knew that WWE was hiring belt carriers. I would have applied. I would have purchased some white gloves. I already have some suits. If you do this next year, WWE, and you're hiring belt carriers, just throw the job up on LinkedIn. I don't need any favors. I'll put in a resume. Just throw the job up on LinkedIn for me.
I think it's a great job, and as good a lawyer as you are, SGJ, I think belt carriers really more in your bag.
Yeah.
Seth freaking versus Bronson freaking Reed. There's been a lot of hype for this, and I got to tell you, as someone who loves Bronson Reed, the wrestler and the man, what a push he has gotten through this, man. They did it again on Monday with him rising from the ashes like an absolute, like Michael Myers on Halloween. He's just unkillable.
He shook that stomp off like it was nothing.
I like Tessitore's line too. He turned him into a hood ornament. I enjoyed that. This is a big moment, and I don't know. I kind of want Bronson Reed to win again.
I do too.
I don't think he's going
to. Does it matter for Seth?
No.
You think Seth's going to win?
All of a sudden, we're going to have Seth now on the decline, losing big matches? I don't think we don't want that either.
I don't think losing big matches equals him on the decline. Like Cody Rhodes came back and hit Seth with the 3-0. And this is right after Seth went, I think, 3-0 against Edge, who also returned. That's about as steep a decline as it could get for anybody else. And for Seth Rollins, it ended up being that losing.
Right. And how about this, Dip? I think you'd agree with this argument, though. The loss would be way more killer for Bronson Reed.
Yeah, yes,
Bronson Reed,
I would agree.
He gets pinned by Seth Rollins. he can't show up on Monday and be the scariest thing. He
I
just
would-
can't.
I would
He
say
can't.
it's a must.
Yeah.
It's a must win for Bronson Reed.
That's the thing. So, like, to me, if Seth puts up a valiant effort, but it's just too much, from a character standpoint, the way I look at it is, hey, there aren't a lot of Bronson Reeds. You don't have to beat Bronson Reed again. You could become world champion and never have to beat Bronson Reed. But I can't see how Bronson Reed, if you want him to keep going to being this really dangerous character, just seeing him lose right now in his first big spot to me, you know what that makes him? That's the problem we've seen with Omos. You take guys, they look really big, and then when they get to the moment, they job. I'm not trying to be that guy. I'm not a booker. I don't know. But I'm just saying from my fan viewpoint, you can't have these big, scary monsters lose the second they get a big opportunity.
Yeah.
Let's move on to La Knight versus Andrade versus Carmelo Hayes, who, SGG, we have big news on Carmelo Hayes. He has moved very high in the Dipperstein power rankings by doing the number one most important thing that a talent can do in the business. You like to take a guess?
He was nice to Dip.
That is it. Was he? He gave him a nickname.
He gave Dip a new. Dip is already a nickname.
Dip, would you like to come out with your new nickname?
What was it again?
The Big Dipper.
Oh.
The Big Dipper. Yeah, the Big Dipper. He's a great guy. Let me tell you, that guy.
Yeah, I've been telling you, I love Carmelo.
By the way, I just want to say the hill that I'm dying on permanently. I love Trick Williams. I think Trick has a lot of ceiling. It became very trendy to be like when they separated, Trick's going to be the sneaky pick is going to be Trick. Trick's going to be great. I put so much money on Carmelo Hayes. I think Carmelo Hayes has such a high ceiling. I really, and so does Trick. But I just remember that being a conversation that existed. We don't need to separate these guys and have them, battle each other off screen, obviously. But I just remember people started to it almost became overly trendy to give Carmelo his flowers because he'd been on top for so long. So it kind of became the fun pick to go against. Nah, guys, Carmelo Hayes is the real deal.
Yeah. In the ring and outside of the ring too. He's a great guy. I can't say enough good things about him.
So who do we like in this match?
I mean, my guy. I'm waiting for him to have his moment. Carmelo Hayes.
To me, it's either LeKnight or Carmelo. All due respect to Andrade, but I think those are the ones that make sense.
I love all three of these guys, but I'm going with Carmelo.
Me too. Yeah, I think it could be a good spot for Carmelo. I'm going to lean towards LA Knight still. I don't know if they're going to put the U.S. Championship on Carmelo, but what a perfect spot for it's kind of the perfect title for Carmelo Hayes.
Yeah.
So I would love to see it happen. Fatal
I will
four-way
say
tag
this
team.
too.
Go ahead.
Sorry to go against what I just said. He loses the least if he doesn't get this title too, though. Honestly, Carmelo Hayes, because his character, he's developed into such a well developed, cocky character that he really is unfazed by the wins and the losses and the accolades and anything else. He's gonna rise no matter what. So I think he would lose the least if he doesn't come away with this title. But he's my guy, so I'm going Carmelo Hayes.
Fatal four-way for the women's tag titles. Jade and Bianca, Damage Control, Metaphor, Lash Legend, and Jakara Jackson versus Chelsea and Piper Niven. Sort of a little all over the place, SGG getting here. Could this be the moment? Is a fatal four-way the perfect time to have confusion or something or other, cause something to go wrong for the tag champions?
Yes, it is. It's how they lost the titles last time, right? It was a multi-team match.
Yep.
And it got stolen right under their noses. And I think that's what's going to happen again. I think this time, though, it will be the team from NXT that manages to do this, because why else would they be involved if you're not going to give NXT some love with the only set of titles that floats throughout both brands on the whole company? Just let NXT have some love with the tag team titles. It'll be back on the main roster soon.
And
Throw an
and they can and
undercard
then
next to
and
them.
then
Flash Legend.
and then you can put them on big TV and have them showing up on Raw or SmackDown or both. I don't
Yeah.
hate that
Which
pick,
they have
SCG.
been too sneakily. It was like a low key call
have.
up that they've been on all the programming.
I'm a big believer in Lash Legend. I think this team is interesting, compelling. I don't think putting it back on Damage Control means anything. Piper and Chelsea are a fun tag team that get a lot of airtime because they're entertaining. Don't think they're a title team right now. I could see the NXT girls getting the title. Dip.
Agreed. I think they come out on top for sure. If it's just by process of elimination.
Yeah, and I mean, listen, or they're just going to keep going on and on with the Bianca and Jade, but like Bianca and Jade isn't gaining more
Didn't
momentum.
they just
to me.
lose it in the
So,
same
like,
way? They lost this already. They
They
lost
did
it to
very,
the
but
they
maybe
lost
that's
it to the
maybe that's the
underdog.
story. But maybe that's the story.
Maybe.
Like it happens again, and that's what sows the seeds of like what's our problem? You're the problem. You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, guys,
Right.
it's gonna get late early here. It's October 31st tomorrow. I know it sounds crazy, but we're gonna be in Mania season in a couple of months. Like we got to start getting towards. If we're getting Bianca and Jade in Mania, it's a kind of time to start get going. All right, last match.
That's going to be a Royal Rumble trigger pull, like I said a few weeks ago.
The elimination, the classic elimination.
Yeah,
not bad at that.
All right, guys, the OG Bloodline, Roman and the Usos versus the Bloodline, Solo, Tama Tonga, Tonga Loa, or Jacob Fatu. We don't know.
Yeah,
and
we
my
have
question
yet
about this
to
match
confirm
is,
which combination.
is this match a bad sign for our Survivor Series hopes?
No.
Is it too close? No, you don't think so, SGG?
No, I don't.
Because they can still add in. And they introduced Sammy getting into the conversation with Jay again this week. So,
and that's why I say no, because Sammy is not on this match. Seemingly, Sammy's not on this card and won't be there. You have the OG Bloodline against Solo's Bloodline. They're still outnumbered. And Sammy, he spoke to Jay. Jimmy was looking for him. And he definitely spoke to Solo. I guess hopefully we'll find out more about what that conversation with Solo was about on Friday, probably in a pre-taped interview. But Sammy has been reintroduced and is now the missing piece from this match on paper. And so I think Sammy is going to be the most important piece in terms of what is going to happen at Survivor Series. But something is happening.
And correct me if I'm wrong, doesn't the Arabic-speaking Syrian Sami Zayn get a lot of love when he pops out in Saudi Arabia?
He is Stone Cold Steve Austin, Hulk Hogan, the John Cena, all the best wrestlers that you could think of over here rolled up into one when he touches down in Saudi Arabia. He is that guy. I've never seen anything like it. So would be a great spot.
Dip, do you think that this is a bad sign potentially for our Survivor Series match? That this is kind of close to it, or no? You think we're still fine?
I think it's too close to it. I saw it and I was annoyed by it, but it's going to be what it's going to be.
Do you think they'll still do it?
I do, because the stipulation is what makes it special. You know, the cage.
And we could still, of course, have the final boss.
Yeah. You know, I hate when they do a tease match that's basically the same as the match. I hate that. I never like that.
What do you hate more?
They've been doing it since the beginning of time. So,
oh yeah. I mean, literally, what do you hate more, that tease match or the opponents tagging together match?
Well, that's different, at least. You know,
right? It's slightly different. It's a novelty, but it's different.
That's been going on,
guys. For anyone here who's listening who does not subscribe to Patreon, you're like, man, I love this episode. I want to hear more. I have great news for you. You can get another episode tomorrow if you're on Patreon. All you got to do is go to patreon.com/staymage, and you will get our watch along tonight of some sort of fakakta Halloween havocs. And for your consumption, guys, I want everyone to remember to check out Dipperstein's appearance on Sam's podcast. We know Dipperstein will be looking forward to listening to it, and you can listen to it as well. But most importantly, make sure you hit that Patreon. Patreon.com/staymage. I'm going to try to end the show with one more phone call. Haven't had any luck this whole show. Come on, man. This is a good one I was going for, too. I'm running out of rings.
Welcome.
Is this Sam Roberts?
This is the artist formerly known as Evil Sam Roberts.
Sam, I just wanted to ask you real quickly, because I know you're busy. You had Dipperstein on your show this week. What was that experience like?
Let me tell you something. I am going into business with Brian Dipperstein. He is one of the most over guys podcasting industry. We are going to take over, not take part. We are the new Ape and Razor of podcasting.
What about Barb and Warlord? Evil.
We could do any tandem. I want face paint. I want flames. I want pyro.
Have you gotten any new like weird merch these days, Sam? Because I know sometimes like you have an original Gold Dust outfit. You have a lot of sort of crazy ring worn stuff. Have you gotten anything new, Evil Sam?
Well, I'm in the market for a good Larry t-shirt. I don't know if you guys know CM Punk's dog, but I'm on Pro Wrestling Tees every day. Score me one of those. Other than that, I like a 2005 Rey Mysterio shirt I'm after. But other than that, everything has been pretty lame, honestly, these days. I'm not really in the market for any of the new stuff.
All right. Evil Sam, I'm sorry to bother you. I know you're busy. I know it's early. And I just wanted to thank you for showing our guy Dipperstein love on the podcast.
No problem at all. I have a couple of those I'm actually trying to get on the horn for my own podcast right now, so I got to go away.
All right.
Sam.
Bye, Evil Sam.
Take care.
He's so nasal.
I would have been so sad if you struck out.
No, with that one, if I can't even get Evil Sam, it's one thing to not get. It's one thing to not get Lin-Manuel Miranda. It's one thing to not get. By the way, Evil Sam just texted me and said, "I literally have just woke up and have not had coffee." I didn't get Lynn. I didn't get Dominic, but we did get Evil Sam. All right, we'll see you guys on Patreon. It's going to be a great watch along. Enjoy your Halloween and stay mage.
Stay mage.
Enjoy yourself, y'all.